Um, well, a combination of the writers. I've known Andrew for a long time, and we talked often in the past about doing a show together. So Andrew, Christopher Hampton, who's a very, very old friend, and I've directed Christopher's work, John Black, likewise. And the subject matter, I mean, after all, you wouldn't think it to look at me, but I was 19, you know, when the Profumo affair broke. So I remember it as this phenomenal eruption of public hypocrisy and a sort of and corruption, police corruption, press corruption, political corruption, and all in a mix with sexual morality, and it was a watershed. It was the early 60s, so that you know, it wasn't true that we were all into sex and drugs and rock and roll, but it was a sort of emblematic moment in the 60s, and so I was very, very drawn. And Andrew mentioned being on front row and talking about it, and I heard that, and I rang Christopher after that, said that sounds very interesting, that project. Do tell Andrew I'd be very interested in working on it. And so I was drawn into it, and it's been a really, really fruitful development where really the sum, it has been and is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I think it's a very substantial piece. So, you know, what's not to be attracted to? It's something that is about politics, you know, corruption, police, the press, you know, sex. There's only what else is left. Rock and roll, yeah. And the music it's a terrific score. Well, you know, the thing is that you can't second guess, you can't legislate for a hit. If you could, you know, none of us would be here because it would all be so boring. There's no element of doubt or risk involved. All you can do is work to your very best, the very best of your abilities and imagination, and produce something that seems to speak to an audience and entertain them and have some kind of meaning for the audience. And I think the moment you start saying, "Ooh, you know, that's going to be a hit," or that's in trouble. And I've felt this very, very strongly whenever I've been running a theatre and programming a theatre, is you can't work in bad faith. You can't say, "I'm going to do this because I think it'll be a hit. I don't like it very much, but there are people who will," because that's breaking faith with the audience. I say what we do is we do honestly in good faith because we think it's very good. We hope that that's going to be corroborated by an audience. So it's actually the best thing you can say is it requires faith, hope and charity. Faith that your audience are going to respond to it. The charity is the love you do it with, and hope is that it turns out well. I think it is, yeah. The last brand new musical I did was Betty Blue Eyes. And, you know, that was 4 years ago, and I think, yes, the stakes are very high, but, you know, that's, I don't know, you know, you can't put your head in the sand. You just say, well, let's do it for the fun of it, for the excitement of it, for the ambition of it. Otherwise, you'd never get out of bed in the morning, would you? I think that's a universal thing in the press. You know, Schadenfreude, we're all guilty of Schadenfreude at times, and I think the press are particularly guilty of, because, you know, that's a story. You know, most successful composer of musicals in the last 40 years falls on his face. That's a story. Most successful composer of the last 40 years has another success. That's not a story. So, of course, it's not pleasant, and it's very, very hard on Andrew, but he's, you know, in some ways thick-skinned, and the great thing about Andrew is that he's ambitious for the work, for the music, for the storytelling. And if he wasn't, he would be just, you know, putting his head in a paper bag. And that's what's so admirable, that he goes out there and has a go. My view is that it's the best job in the world, and that following Nick Hytner is a very tough act, and whoever does it will have to redefine the function and practice of the National Theatre, or suffer from being regarded as sort of Hytner light. So I'm sure that somebody will be appointed who is of a different background, a different sensibility, and will bring a different constituency to work at the National Theatre, and hope to retain the affection and loyalty of the audience.